Hi, and welcome to Math with Miss Aker. We're going to jump right in with Just Know It. Today we're going to practice some place value because we're going to be learning about decimals and connecting them to fractions that we've been working on. So I'm going to show you some numbers, and what I'm going to do is ask you to tell me what digit is in a certain place. So let's start with this one. So this is 365. In your head, or say out loud right now, what digit is in the tens place? 2,345, what digit is in the ones place? 487, what digit is in the hundreds place? 16, what digit is in the tens place? And last but not least, 6,891, what digit is in the thousands place? All right, let's see if you just knew it, just like that. So we had 365, and we said tens place is the 6. 6 tens equals 60. For the ones place, did you say 5? 5 ones equals 5. For the hundreds place, 4 is in the hundreds place, but 4 equals 4 hundreds, or 400. The tens place, did you say 1? 1 10 equals 10. And last but not least, the thousands place, did you say 6? 6 thousands equals 6,000. Nice work. Let's move on to figure it out. Okay, so we are going to make equivalent fractions. We've been doing that a lot lately, but here we're going to be doing them with denominators of 10 and 100. So let's take a look. 3 tens equals something out of 100. Well, I'm noticing that this is like breaking it into 10 times more parts. Like if I had a cake and I had 10 slices, but then I cut each of those slices into tiny little bites and I ended up with 100 slices. So I noticed that there's we added a place value there, a 0, and so we can do the same here. So 3 tenths is equal to 30 100ths. Okay, so let's use that knowledge to do this one. 1/10 is equal to 10 out of what? So this is like breaking it up into 10 times as many parts. So now we have a total number of parts of 100 because we went from 1 to 10 in the numerator, so 10 to 100 in the denominator. Okay, 60 out of 100 equals 6 out of something. 60 100ths equal, so use what I know up here. So I know I can kind of think of it like this. Okay, so I have 6 tenths. Nice, figuring out. Okay, 40 out of 100ths equals, oh no, they didn't give us anything there, so let's think about it. I'm going to use that 4 on top, so I can, if I do this, 4 tenths. Oh, and then the last one we get to make our own. Something out of 10 equals something out of 100. Let's do 8. 8 tenths equals, we see the pattern now, 80 100ths. It's like we took that whole and we broke it up into even more parts, but 80 parts is still the same out of 100 as 8 out of 10 was from the original. For what's new, we are moving into decimals, like I said. Here's our learning target. I can relate fractions and decimals of 10 and 100. We're going to use all that we know about fractions, so let's underline fractions. We know numerator out of a denominator, but we also know that fractions are telling us the parts out of a whole. So it could be something that's broken up into parts less than 1, or it could be a set of something. And decimals, okay, what do we know about decimals? Well, look at this right here, money. I know that you've seen decimals with money like $1.35. So we're going to be thinking about what does that decimal point tell us? And what do the numbers after it mean? And how are they related to 10 and 100? So like here, 3 is 3 tenths, but it's not in the tenths place, it's in the tenths place, and this is in the hundredths place, 35, so 35 hundredths. So that might sound a little confusing, but we're gonna work it out together. There's some new words, or might not be new, but let's review some things that we need to make sure that we're thinking about as we do this. So first of all, the word decimal. So let's remember that a decimal is another way to represent a fraction. So this is a word we want to definitely keep in our minds. When we hear decimal, it just means another way of representing a fractional part. Okay, and then what we use to show that is the decimal point. So that's this period, that dot there, that's the decimal point. It tells us which side is less than 1 and which side is more than 1. So this side of the decimal point is always going to be less than 1, and this side is always going to be whole numbers, 1 or greater. And a couple of things we want to connect here are our tenths. So 1/10 would be a unit fraction, 1/10, and then we also have hundredths. So 1 out of 100. So those are some terms that are going to come up, and I just want you to keep in mind as we're working through the what's new today. Okay, grab your paper, pencil, writing tool, and let's get started on some decimal identification. So this shows a grid and it has 10 parts. It says how many parts are shaded. So let's look, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 shaded out of 10 total parts. So what fraction does that show? We know that, 4 out of 10. So what decimal does that show? So if we're thinking about our place value chart, we can draw one right here. Ones, then we have tenths, and then we have hundredths. And we know right here is that decimal point that I mentioned earlier. So we don't have a whole, we have no ones, but we do have 4 tenths. So we can write this like this, 0.4. So these two are equal to each other. Let's do this bottom one. How many parts shaded? So this is in groups of 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, so 40. And we can count by tens again, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So that fraction is 40 out of 100. What decimal does it show? So we can do our ones, decimal point, tenths, hundredths. I always forget the D in hundredths. Hundredths. So we have, if we put our, it looks like in this number, in the tenths place, there's a 4, and in the hundredths place, there's a 0. So we can write this as 0.40, 40 hundredths, or it's the same thing as 4 tenths. Let's try this one. Lester says that a dime is 1/10 of a dollar. Luella says a penny is 1/10 of a dollar. Who do you agree with? Use the grids to help show your thinking. So we got R, T, D, W. Read, think, draw, write. Okay, we read it. Let's think about it. What do we know about money? So Lester is mentioning a dime. I'm going to draw a dime as a D like that. And we know that a dime is 10 cents, right? And we know that a penny is 1 cent. Whoopsie. 1 cent, like that. So I know that it takes 100 pennies. 100 pennies to equal $1. And I know that it takes 10 dimes to equal $1. Okay, so that's quite a bit. We need way more pennies to get to a dollar than we do dimes. So Lester says that a dime is 1/10 of a dollar, and Luella says that a penny is 1/10 of a dollar. Who do we agree with? So let's use these grids. So this could be like $1. If I make these the whole $1. And this one's divided in 10, and I know dimes are each worth 10. So I'm going to shade in one of these, and that will give me 1/10 of that. Okay, and then this one shows 100, and I know that 1 penny is 1/100th. Oh, well, I just said it. This is 1 out of 100, and this is 1/10. So a dime is 1/10 and a penny is 1 out of 100. So we use these models provided for us, so let's write a sentence. Lester is correct that a dime is 1/10 of a dollar. So now you can see that I've written my sentence and I've proved my thinking. And we are ready for our try it. So today you are going to be trying out some similar problems. Look at the shaded amount here. Tell me how many parts are shaded, how many total parts, what fraction and what decimal does it show for both this grid with 10 and this grid with 100. So if you need to pause it right now to take a look, you can do that to see the shaded parts. And it's time for us to say goodbye. I just want to end with a all set, you bet. I know learning something new or transitioning from something we've been working on for so long, fractions to decimals, might feel a little bit challenging, but I know that you can do it. So I'm going to say all set and you say you bet. 1, 2, 3. All set, you bet. See you next time.